Today is day 14 of the 90-day legal strike action of the Inland and Offshore Contractors Limited workers. The joint trade union movement visited the IOCL strike camp today, where leader Ansel Roger said it's time for the exploitation of workers to stop. The JTUM leader had noted towards the start of the action that the protests are over a number of management failures at the state-owned oil company Petrotrin, even as Inland and Offshore Contractors Limited employees highlighted stalled wage negotiations with the contractor. Mahalia Joseph has more.
The OWTU served a 90-day strike notice to Inland Offshore Contractors Limited after years of what felt like futile calls for the company to pay its workers substantially. The workers say they had no other choice but to legally withdraw their labor. Wednesday's visit demonstrated the labor movement's support for the action the workers have taken in defense of justice and human rights. Leader of the joint trade union movement, Ansel Roger, notes the workers who have taken action are withholding duties that benefit the country.
We are perhaps as a country without knowledge as to how this group of workers, this small group of 200 workers, what they do on a daily basis, what they do at all quality hours of the day and night, whether it is rain, shine, storm, hurricane, but at the task that they perform, how that task is converted into a product, which product is necessary for fueling Trinidad and Tobago.
When they arrived, officials made sure to keep them off the compound.
One time we go. You want to play?
Mr. Roger says workers must be treated with respect at all times.
What we are asking for here is not anything exorbitant. What we are asking for here is not anything outlandish. Indeed, it is most reasonable. All we are asking for is the minimum rate to be paid to those employees. And you cannot have in a situation where you have one rate for some and an inferior rate for others. Indeed,
according to Mr. Roger, what they have been paid for quite a while is less than half the minimum rate. He says Petrotrin management has not lifted a finger to ensure that they bring an end to the situation.
We have yet to hear that the Petrotrin management sit the contractor down and tell the contractor that he ought to get his business right. He ought to pay his workers right to ensure that those workers deliver for Petrotrin.
IOCL is one of several contractors retained to provide marine transport service for Petrotrin's Trinma operations at Point Fortin. The OWTU is the recognized bargaining body for the contract workers. Mahalia Joseph, C News.
In a release, Petrotrin says the recent strike action has affected operations at Trinma, as reliable transport is critical to ensure their effectiveness in servicing their offshore installations. Petrotrin says it has been monitoring the situation closely, and the contingency measures have been implemented to limit the impact of the disruption in service. They encourage both parties to seek early resolution of this matter, as the absence of this service continues to adversely affect their operations. Petrotrin and the OWTU commenced negotiations for the 2011 to 2015 bargaining period in November 2013. And after a year of discussions, these negotiations were referred to the Ministry of Labour. In December 2014, after a 14-day conciliatory period, the Minister of Labour determined these negotiations unresolved. Petrotrin says IOCL has a separate collective agreement with the OWTU. The union served a strike notice on IOCL on October 20 after receiving an unresolved certificate from the Ministry of Labour.